Did you sign? I pushed the contract toward him, my name was already on it. Henry picked up the pen, his hand pausing. Clara, can't you think it over one more time? No. He stared at me for a long time, then signed. The official stamp sounded loud, each strike felt like it was hitting my heart. Leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, the December wind was bitterly cold. Clara. He called me from behind. I didn't turn around. You dropped something. I turned. He bent to pick up a sheet of paper, and when he read it his whole body went rigid. That was the pregnancy test result I had just received yesterday. The ultrasound indicated, intrauterine early pregnancy, 9 weeks. His hands trembled violently, his voice changed. You're pregnant? I took the report, slipped it into my bag. You don't need to do anything, I'll handle it myself. Handle it yourself? What do you mean? That's my child. He's my child. I looked at him. He has nothing to do with you anymore. 3 months and 9 days ago, I last had any hope for this marriage. It was a Friday. After work I went to the hospital to pick up my medical report. The doctor glanced at the test sheet, looked up, and asked me, how long has it been since your last period? Almost 2 months, I said. I thought it was hormonal imbalance. Have an ultrasound, she said. You might be pregnant. I was stunned for a long time. Pregnant? Henry and I had been married 3 years, and we'd never planned to have children. More precisely, I hadn't dared to think about it. The ultrasound results came back, I really was pregnant, 6 weeks and 3 days. I sat in the hospital corridor, my phone's lock screen our wedding photo. In the picture he had his arms around me, smiling brilliantly. Back then he had said, Clara, I will make you the happiest woman in the world. I wanted to call him to share the news. I dialed the number, it rang 3 times before he answered. Hello? His voice sounded a little urgent, there was a lot of background noise. Henry, I'm at the hospital. Hold on. He said, and then I heard him tell someone else, Lily, you order this, it's on me. Lily. That name was like a bucket of cold water, dousing every last one of my hopes. Clara? He came back to himself. What did you say? Nothing. I said, you go on. After hanging up, I stared at the ultrasound sheet. There was a small, blurry shadow on it. The doctor said that was my baby. But I didn't know whether to let him come into this world. Lily was Henry's first love from university. They were together for 4 years, and they broke up because she was going abroad for graduate school. My parents insisted I go, Henry had told me after he'd been drinking. She cried at the airport, and I cried too. But you still broke up, I said. Yes, he looked out the window, some things can't be helped. That was when we had just gotten married. He would mention her occasionally, but not often. I didn't feel threatened. After all, it was something from 8 years ago, and I was the one by his side. Until 3 months ago. I ran into them at the supermarket. Lily was wearing a beige trench coat, her makeup immaculate, and when she smiled her eyes curved into crescents. Henry! Is that really you? She exclaimed in surprise. He was stunned for a few seconds. Lily? You're back in the country? I just returned 2 months ago, she said. Didn't expect to run into you here. They chatted happily, talking about recent events and the past, about work and mutual friends. I stood beside them pushing the shopping cart, waiting for 15 minutes. In the end I reminded him, Henry, the shrimp are thawing. Oh, he finally remembered. Lily, this is my wife, Clara. Hello, hello. Lily said warmly. Sorry, I'm just too excited to run into an old friend. It's okay. I smiled. By the way, Henry, can we exchange contact info? She asked. Let's keep in touch. I watched them scan each other's QR codes to add each other, feeling a faint unease in my chest. On the way home that day he was in a great mood and kept talking about Lily. She got her master's degree abroad and now works as a project manager at an architectural design firm. She's still the same, hasn't changed at all. If she hadn't gone abroad back then, he suddenly stopped. I looked at the traffic light ahead. If she hadn't gone abroad, you two wouldn't have broken up, right? That's not what I mean. It's all in the past. It's all in the past. That evening I made 4 dishes. Normally I only make 2. Each one was something he liked. I wanted him to know I could do it well too. But he ate absent-mindedly, constantly staring at his phone. He accepted the friend request Lily sent. Over the next month, Lily's name appeared more and more frequently in our lives. In the mornings he would send her good morning. At noon she would ask him, "Could you take a look at this design for me?" In the evenings they could chat until 11 or midnight. I had brought it up before. "You've been in touch with Lily a lot lately," I ventured. She just returned to the country and has some work questions she wants to ask me," he said without looking up. "Then, can you come with me to the hospital this weekend?" I said. "I've been feeling tired lately." "Rest more if you're tired," he said. This weekend I promised Lily I'd help her check the renovation on her new place. I held the bowl of soup suspended in midair. "I want to go to the hospital for a checkup this weekend," I said again. "I'm feeling a bit unwell." "Where does it hurt?" He finally looked up at me. I wanted to say I suspected I was pregnant. But seeing his impatient expression, the words died on my tongue. "Never mind, it's nothing." "That's good." He lowered his head and went back to his phone. "Lily says the apartment layouts in her neighborhood are really nice, she wants me to go and give her some advice." I set the soup down in front of him and watched the steam curl up. Through that veil of mist, I couldn't make out his face. Just as I increasingly couldn't understand him. On Saturday morning, he woke up very early. I was still asleep and felt him get up quietly, changing clothes. I opened my eyes and saw him fixing his hair in the mirror, even spraying cologne. "So early?" I asked. Lily said it for 9, he said. "You go back to sleep." "Henry." I stopped him, "Can I come with you?" He paused. "Go do what?" We haven't gone out together in a long time." "But Lily asked me." He frowned. "It wouldn't be great if you came along, would it? Anyway, it's awkward. Stay home and rest, I'll be back at noon to have lunch with you." He left. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was very quiet, only the tick-tock of the clock. I touched my belly. There was a little life there, only 6 weeks old. He didn't know. Her father was on his way to see another woman. At noon he hadn't come back. At 1 in the afternoon he messaged, "Lily asked me to stay for lunch, might be late getting back." At 3 in the afternoon his post updated, a 9-photo grid, Lily's new home, renovation renderings, and a photo of the two of them together. Caption, "Helping a friend with their new place, suddenly reminded of the days we rented near school." Below, a bunch of comments, "You two really were meant to be. You look perfect together." Someone else asked, "Where's your sister-in-law?" He replied, "She's a friend, don't say things like that." I looked at those photos, zooming in. In the 5th one he's crouched on the floor measuring for her. In the 7th she's smiling as she hands him a cup of water. In the 9th they're standing side by side on the balcony, the sunset just right. I remembered when we first got married, decorating the marital home. It was autumn then too. He went with me to the building materials market to pick tiles and we spent the whole day choosing. I said, "This one looks good." He said, "All right, let's take this one." Tired, we sat by the roadside eating skewers. He wiped the sauce from the corner of my mouth and said, "Clara, our home will definitely be very cozy." Now he's helping someone else renovate a new home. And I sit in our home, feeling like a stranger. I began to feel unwell at 6 in the evening. My stomach hurt, I felt like vomiting, and I was dizzy. I called him. It rang for a long time before he answered. "Hello?" There was a lot of noise in the background, the sounds of a restaurant. "Henry, I'm not feeling well," I said. "Then take some medicine," he said. "I have things to do here, I'll be back later." Can you come back first?" I said, "I'm a little scared on my own." "Clara, can you stop being so dramatic?" His voice had grown impatient. "It's just a stomachache, isn't it? Take some medicine and you'll be fine." "I'm out, it's not convenient." "Okay, I'm hanging up now." The call ended. I sat on the sofa, sweating from the pain. In the end, I went to the hospital by myself. Registration, queues, examinations. The doctor said, "It's early pregnancy symptoms, normal. Rest more, don't overexert yourself." "Thank you, doctor." "And the family?" the doctor asked, glancing behind me. "He's otherwise occupied." The doctor glanced at me once and said no more. It was already 10 when I got home. He still wasn't back. I lay in bed scrolling through posts. I saw he'd posted again, late night diner, old friends reunited. The picture showed him with Lily and a few other friends. They were laughing so happily. Looking at that photo, tears suddenly fell. Not from grievance, not from anger. Just a sudden weariness. Truly exhausted. That night was a dividing line. Although I didn't know it then. The next day, my mother called me. "Clara, come home for dinner this weekend, your father misses you. Bring Henry too. He's been busy with work lately, he probably can't make it." "No matter how busy, you've got to eat," my mother said. "You've been married 3 years now, I can see you've lost weight. Has he been taking care of you?" "Yes." I said, "Mom, don't worry." After I hung up, Henry came out of the bedroom. "Who was that?" "My mom wants us to go back for dinner this weekend." "This weekend?" He frowned. "I'm busy this weekend. Lily's company has a project and they want me to take a look." "Henry." I put down my phone. "Can you see less of her?" "Why?" "Because I'm not feeling well." "Feeling unwell is feeling unwell, what does it have to do with whether I meet Lily?" He sounded irritated. "Clara, can you stop being so petty?" "Me petty?" I laughed. "Henry, you're a married man who chats with his ex until midnight every night, skips weekends with your wife to be with her, and now you're calling me petty? We're just friends. Do friends need you to spray cologne on them? Do friends need you to dress up carefully? Do friends need you to spend the whole day at her house?" "Clara." His voice rose. "Why are you being so unreasonable?" "Unreasonable?" I stood up. "Then tell me, what were you doing when my stomach hurt yesterday?" "You." He choked on the words. "You were having dinner with her," I said. "Henry, do you know? I went to the hospital alone yesterday, waited in line alone, saw the doctor alone." "Then why didn't you say so earlier?" "I did, you told me to take medicine. I thought it was just a normal stomachache." "What if it wasn't just a normal stomachache?" I looked at him. "What if it was something serious? Would you still tell me to go to the hospital on my own?" "Henry, when did you become like this?" I said, "Do you remember when we first got together? Back then when I had a cold, you'd get up in the middle of the night to make ginger soup for me. When I said I wanted cherries, you ran to 3 different supermarkets to buy them for me. And now? Now when my stomach hurts, you make me take medicine. When I say I want you to stay with me, you call me melodramatic." "I'm busy," he said. "Busy keeping Lily company?" I said. "Clara," he snapped, "why do you keep clinging to this?" "Because I don't want to wake up one day and find that the person you love is someone else." My voice quivered. "Henry, I just want you to spend more time with me. Is that so unreasonable? I haven't been neglecting you. When was the last time you had a meal with me? When was the last time you gave me a gift? When was the last time you remembered my birthday?" I asked, one question after another. "Tell me, when was it?" He couldn't say it. But you remembered Lily's birthday, I said. You even went out and bought a present. That was just politeness toward a friend. What about me? What about your wife? I looked at him. Henry, am I not even as good as a friend? He opened his mouth, then said nothing. That night, none of us spoke again. The next morning he went to work. I took the day off and went to the hospital alone. They ran a full series of tests and confirmed the baby was healthy. The doctor asked me, "Have you decided to keep this child?" "I don't know." "We need to decide quickly," she said. "You're 8 weeks now. If you want an abortion, it's best to do it within 10 weeks. I held the medical record book and sat in the hospital corridor. People kept coming and going. Pregnant women walked by with bulging bellies, supported by their husbands. Couples looked at ultrasound photos, so moved they cried. Families gathered around newborns, grinning from ear to ear. Looking at those scenes, I couldn't picture Henry and me in the same way. He might not even be able to accompany me to prenatal checkups. That afternoon I went to the civil affairs office. I asked about the divorce procedure. The clerk said, if both parties agree, bring the marriage certificate, ID cards, household registration book, and the divorce agreement, and you can process it. What if one party disagrees? Then you can only file for divorce and must prove the relationship has indeed broken down. It can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau and looked at the pamphlet in my hand. It read, "Marriage is not easy, cherish it as you go." But if only one person is cherishing it, can that still be called a marriage? I took a week to make my decision. During that week, Henry continued to keep close contact with Lily. And I was weighing two things, whether to keep this child, whether to keep this marriage. Then a single sentence from my mother made the decision for me. "Clara, your father's physical exam results are back," she said over the phone. "The doctor said one of the indicators isn't good and wants further tests." "Is it serious?" I panicked. The doctor said it might be nothing, but it could also be. Her voice trembled a little. "I'm a bit scared." "Mom, don't be scared. I'll come home right away." I took leave and packed my things to go back to my hometown. I messaged Henry, "My father's not doing well. I need to go home for a few days." He replied 2 hours later, "Oh, be careful on your way." Just like that. No asking how serious it was, no offering to come with me, no concern at all. I stared at that sentence and suddenly made up my mind. Divorce. This marriage, I must end it. As for the child, I will carry it to term. I'll raise the child alone. I don't need him. Back home, I took my dad for a full checkup. Fortunately, it was just a false alarm. But in those 3 days, I figured a lot of things out. My parents have been married 30 years. They're not wealthy, but my dad treats my mom very well. He remembers her birthday, remembers what she likes to eat, remembers every one of her habits. When my mom has a cold, my dad gets up in the middle of the night to make ginger soup. When she's tired, he insists on doing the housework. They argue, but my dad never gives her the silent treatment, he always is the first to humble himself. I asked my mom, "How did you two manage it?" "Manage what?" "We've been married so long, and it's still this good." My mother smiled. "Because your father keeps me in his heart. No matter how busy he is, he remembers things about me. No matter how tired he gets, he's willing to sit and talk with me." "Clara," she looked at me, "the most important thing in a marriage isn't whether you love each other, it's whether you care about each other. If he keeps you in his heart, he'll remember your birthday, he'll be there when you need him, he'll put you first. If he doesn't have you in his heart, no matter how hard you try, you're only ever moving yourself." I listened to those words, tears falling. "Mom, I think I married the wrong man." "Silly child." She held me, "Then come home, Mom and Dad will always be your family." That night, Henry called me. "When are you coming back?" "In a couple of days." "Oh." He paused. Is Dad okay? He's fine, just a false alarm. That's good. Silence again. Henry. I said, let's talk. Talk about what? About us. I said, I want a divorce. Clara, here we go again, right? He sounded impatient. Every time you're unhappy you talk about divorce, is it a joke to you? This time I'm not just saying it. I'm serious. Why? Because I realized you don't have me in your heart at all. What do you mean you don't? I give you my salary every month, I let you run the house. Henry, I cut him off, can money represent everything? What else do you want then? I want you to show up when I need you, I want you to remember me, I want you to have me in your heart. But you can't do any of those things. Clara, are you going through early menopause? He said irritably. Didn't I tell you I've just been in touch with Lily more lately? I already said we're just friends. Henry, can you honestly say you don't have feelings for her? He went silent. That silence was the answer. I understand. We'll file for divorce as soon as we get back. Clara, I hung up. Then I called a lawyer to ask how to draft a divorce agreement. He came back on a Friday. Henry met me at the station. The car was very quiet, he tried to speak several times but held back each time. Back home, I put the suitcase straight in the living room. Clara, let's have a proper talk. About what? I took out a document. Look over the divorce agreement. He took it and his expression changed. Are you serious? I have always been serious. No, I won't agree. He threw the agreement onto the table. Clara, we've been married 3 years, and you want to end it just like that? Yes, I want to end it. I looked at him. Because in these 3 years I've had enough. Enough of your neglect, enough of your indifference, enough of you treating me like air. Henry, I don't want to continue anymore. I'll change from now on, isn't that enough? Clara, give me a chance, I will definitely change. Do you know? I pulled my hand back. Your phone rang 3 times while you were saying that. All of them messages from Lily. He froze and looked at his phone. There were indeed 3 unread messages from Lily on the screen. See, I laughed, she looks for you and you check right away. I text you and you take 2 hours to reply. That's the difference. Clara, I really can change. No need. Henry, just let me go, and let yourself go too. You don't love me anymore in your heart, so why force it? I love you, he said urgently. I've always loved you. Is that so? I looked at him. Then you don't even know when I got pregnant. He froze as if struck by lightning, his whole body stiff. What did you say? I'm pregnant, I said calmly. 10 weeks and 3 days. Pregnant? His voice changed. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you? I laughed. When I told you, you were out having dinner with Lily. When I wanted you to come to the hospital with me, you said I was being dramatic. Now you know. Clara. He tried to hug me, and I stepped back. Don't touch me. Henry, I am going to have this child, but I will not be with you. Are you crazy? That's my child. It's my child. I corrected him. You only provided a sperm. Clara, he broke down. You can't do this to me. Then how have you treated me? My mom was hospitalized and you were with her for her birthday. I had a stomach ache and you gave me medicine. I said I wanted you to stay with me and you called me melodramatic. Now I'm pregnant and you don't even know. On what grounds do you demand that I be good to you? He couldn't speak, he just stood there, his face ashen. I'll give you a week to think. A week from now, we'll go to the civil affairs office. If you don't sign, I'll sue for divorce. You can choose to cooperate and part amicably. Or you can drag it out, either way the end result is the same. When I finished speaking, I went back to the bedroom to pack. He stood in the doorway, watching me put my clothes into the suitcase one by one. Clara, don't go. His voice was a little choked. Let's talk properly. We can talk about anything. There's nothing left to talk about. I closed the suitcase. Henry, I've talked enough these last 3 years. I'm begging you. He blocked the door. Give me one chance, one last chance. I've given you chances plenty of times. But each time, you chose Lily. Now it's my turn to choose. I choose to give you up. I pushed him aside and dragged the suitcase out. At the doorway, I glanced back at the house. The marital home we had decorated together 3 years ago. Every piece of furniture we had carefully selected. Our wedding photo still hung on the wall. We used to laugh so happily then. But now, all that's left here is cold. Goodbye, Henry, I said, this is the end of my life. The moment the door shut, I heard him crying inside. But I didn't look back. Because I knew that if I turned, I would soften again. And I couldn't soften anymore. For my own sake, and for the baby in my belly. The night we moved into the new place, I sat alone in the empty room. 30 square meters, a studio that held all my possessions. No sofa, no TV, only a bed and a suitcase. But I felt relieved. Truly relieved. No longer waiting for someone who won't come back. No longer cooking a table of food that no one will eat. No longer looking at a face I love but cannot have. I put my hand on my belly. Baby, it will be just the two of us from now on. I said softly, Mom will protect you. The phone rang, it was Henry. I didn't answer. He sent a message, Clara, where are you? Let's meet and talk. I replied, there's nothing to talk about. Saturday at 9 in the morning, at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I won't sign. Then just file for divorce. The outcome will be the same anyway. He didn't reply again. The next day, I went to the hospital to register. The doctor asked, any family with you? Just me. Then who will take care of you during labor? My mother will come. The doctor glanced at me and didn't ask any more. After finishing the paperwork, I ran into a young couple. The man was supporting his wife, very carefully. The woman said she wanted something sour, and he immediately ran off to buy it. She said she was tired, and he hurried to find a chair for her to sit. Watching them, I thought of Henry. If he knew I was pregnant, would he take care of me like that? But I quickly dismissed the thought. No way. He couldn't even accompany me to the hospital, let alone take care of me. I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau early on Saturday morning. At 9 o'clock exactly, Henry came. He was thinner, his eyes were red, and his beard wasn't cleanly shaved. Clara. He came over. Can't we really reconsider? Why do you have to be so heartless? You're the heartless one. I said, Henry, what you've done to me these past 3 years, that's what being heartless is. I know I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. I'll change, I will put you and the child first. You don't need to change, because I don't love you anymore, and I hate you terribly. Impossible. He grabbed my shoulders. You love me so much, how could you stop loving me just like that? Henry, love can be worn away. I said calmly. Time after time of disappointment, time after time of chilling hurt, time after time of facing things alone. His hands loosened, his whole body as if it had lost its support. But, the child? His voice trembled. Are you really going to raise him alone? Yes. I am his father. So what? You are his father, but you are not my husband. Henry, I don't want my child born into a loveless home. Rather than having him watch us fight every day, I'd rather he have only one mother. At least I will love him with all my heart. He looked at me, tears falling. Clara, I'm sorry, he said through his sobs. I'm sorry. Sign here. He picked up the pen, his hand trembling. The tip hovered over the paper for a long time, and in the end he signed. By the time he got the divorce certificate, it was already 10 o'clock. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sun was bright. But Henry's face was ashen, his eyes vacant. "Clara." He called after me. Can I be part of the child's life?" "Okay. But you have to tell me in advance." "All right." He nodded. "Also, I'll pay the child support on time." "Anything else?" If, he looked at me, "if one day I get better, would you?" "No." I cut him off. "Henry, not in this lifetime." With that I turned and walked away. I walked far, then looked back once. He was still standing where he'd been, like a statue. The sunlight fell on him, but there seemed to be a shadow hanging around him. In that moment, I suddenly felt a pang of pity for him. But it vanished quickly. Because I remembered those lonely nights. Those helpless moments. The days when he wasn't there. He deserved it. In the months that followed, I began to get used to living alone. Work, prenatal checkups, grocery shopping, cooking. Life was routine and quiet. My belly grew bigger day by day, and I could feel the baby moving. Sometimes it was gentle, like a little fish swimming. Sometimes it was strong, like a greeting. Every time I felt it, I would smile. Although I was alone, I didn't feel lonely. Henry sent child support on time every month. Occasionally he would message to ask, "How have you been?" I usually replied, "I'm doing fine." And then there was nothing more. He no longer asked. It was as if we had truly become strangers. Occasionally, I would receive things he sent. Maternity clothes, supplements, baby supplies. There was never a note, just the items. I knew he was caring in his own way. But it was too late. My heart was already dead. In early May, with the due date approaching, my mother rushed over from our hometown to take care of me. "Clara, you've lost weight," she said, full of concern. "Luckily, the baby is very healthy." "That's good." She looked at my belly. "Is it a boy or a girl?" "I don't know, we didn't check." "Whether it's a boy or a girl, Mom will help you raise it." "Thanks, Mom." That night my mother made a whole table of dishes. The two of us sat at the small dining table. "Mom, I'm sorry. I made you worry." "Silly child, what are you apologizing for? As long as you're doing well, I won't worry." She held my hand. "Clara, the decision you made was the right one. Some marriages aren't worth forcing. When the baby is born, the three of us will be the happiest family," she said with a smile. I laughed too. Yes, we would be very happy. Even if it was just the two of us. May 15th, 3 a.m. I woke up in sudden pain. My stomach clenched in waves, as if it would split open. "Mom. I think I'm going into labor." My mother got up at once. "I'll call a car right away." By the time we got to the hospital, it was still dark. After the examination the doctor said, "You're 2 centimeters dilated. Get ready to go into the delivery room." "Okay." Before we went in, my mother asked, "Do you want me to call Henry?" I hesitated. "Never mind. I don't want to see him." But the nurse said, "A family member needs to sign." There was no choice, my mother still called him. He answered quickly, "Auntie?" "Henry, Clara is in labor at the First People's Hospital. I'll be there right away." 20 minutes later, he burst out in front of the delivery room. Sweat drenched his hair, his clothes crumpled as if he'd just leapt out of bed. "Where's Clara? How is she? Is it going smoothly?" The doctor said it would take some more time. He paced back and forth in the corridor, restless. His phone rang, Lily. He glanced at it and let it ring out. It rang again, and he switched it off. At 5 in the morning, the delivery room was filled with the cry of a newborn. He jumped to his feet. A nurse came out holding a tiny baby. Congratulations, it's a boy, 7 Jean Tu Liang. He looked at that little person, and tears welled up instantly. My son, he murmured, my son. The family can go in to see the mother now, the nurse said. He looked at my mother. She hesitated for a moment. You go in. After all, she just gave birth. He pushed the door open. I was lying on the hospital bed, pale, my hair soaked. But when I saw the baby, I smiled. Baby. I reached out my hand. The nurse placed the child in my arms. I bent over and kissed the baby's forehead, tears falling. Mom has been waiting for you for a long time. Henry stood in the doorway, watching the scene. The mother and son were warm and beautiful. But he was not one of the people in the picture. Clara. He walked over. You're here. Thank you for your hard work. It's okay. Look, he looks like you. He looked at that tiny face, aching with pain. Clara, thank you. Thank you for giving birth to him. This is my child, no need to thank me. He wanted to say something, but in the end swallowed it back. You can hold him. He took the child carefully. The little one frowned, his eyes still closed. But he could already feel his warmth. Daddy will protect you. He definitely will. Clara looked at them, feeling a jumble of emotions. If it were possible, she would have wished them to be a whole family. But it couldn't be. Some things, once broken, are broken. No matter how you try to piece them back together, they won't fit. Give the child to me. I want to feed him. Henry handed the child back to her and stood by watching. You're tired, go back and rest. I'm not tired. Henry. You should go. I don't want to see you. Clara. Go. Her voice was soft but firm. He stood there for a moment, then left. At the doorway he glanced back. Clara was rocking the child to sleep. She rocked gently and hummed softly. The smile on her face was tender and content. In that moment, he suddenly realized. He had lost her. Truly lost her. The day they were discharged, my mother came to pick us up. Henry came too. I'll drive you home. No need. We'll take a taxi. Clara, I'm the child's father. I know. But you're nobody to me. Let him take him, my mother urged, you just got out of the hospital, don't overexert yourself. In the end I agreed. The car was very quiet. He drove, my mother sat in the passenger seat, and I held the child in the back. As we passed the neighborhood where we used to live, he slowed the car. I knew what he was thinking. But I said nothing. That place was no longer my home. Downstairs at the new building, he helped us carry things. There were a lot of them, he shuttled up and down several times. Sweat stood on his brow. Thank you. You're welcome. He panted, anything else I can help with? Nothing left. Then. He looked at me. May I come in and take a look? I hesitated for a moment. Come in. He entered and took in the little house. 30 square meters, 1 bedroom and a living room, simple furniture. A pothose on the windowsill was thriving. Some pictures were stuck on the wall, all ultrasound photos. Post-it notes on the fridge read, 42-day postpartum checkup and baby's 1-month vaccinations. You live here? It's too small. Go back, there are plenty of rooms at home. No. I cut him off, it's fine here. But the child. The child is being taken care of by me. He opened his mouth, but in the end said nothing. Henry, thank you for your help today. You can go now. He looked at the swaddled baby. Can I hold him? He carefully lifted the child. The little thing was sleeping soundly, tiny hands balled into fists. What's his name? Casper. Casper. He repeated, a good name. He held him for a long time, so long that the child woke. The little one opened his eyes, looked at him and burst into a wail. Does he not know me? Henry panicked. He's hungry. I took the child. You should go. Clara, can I come see him often? You can. But give notice. Okay. I will. He walked to the door and glanced back at me. Clara, I'm sorry. I know. But it's useless. The door closed. I sat on the sofa nursing the baby. My mother was in the kitchen making porridge. In our little home, it felt warm. Although it was just the three of us, I felt very happy. On the baby's 1-month day I held a celebration. I only invited close friends and family and didn't tell Henry, but he still came. Carrying a huge pile of gifts, he stood at the hotel entrance. Henry? I was a little surprised. I wanted to see the baby. Come in. He followed me inside. Casper lay in the stroller, dressed in a little red outfit. Chubby, unbearably cute. He's grown. He crouched by the stroller, looking for a long time. Can I hold him? Yes. He picked up the child. Casper stared at him, then suddenly smiled. He smiled at me. Henry said excitedly. He's smiling now. He smiles at everyone. His smile faded. The banquet began. Everyone gathered around the child, offering blessings. Henry stood in the corner, watching me hold Casper, smiling brightly. He remembered our wedding 3 years ago. I used to smile like that. Smiling at him, my eyes full of him. Now she still smiles like that. But her eyes are on the child. No longer on him. After the banquet, I saw the guests out. On my way back, I saw Henry still there. You're not leaving yet? Clara, he said, may I speak with you alone? Just 5 minutes. Please. I hesitated for a moment. All right. We stepped outside the hotel. Say it. Clara, I know I have no right to ask for anything, he said, but I still want to ask, could I be more involved in the child's upbringing? You can come see him. Not just see. Really be involved. Take him to the park, tell him stories, be there as he grows up. I looked at him. Henry, are you sure you have the time? I do, he said eagerly. I'll make time. Just like you said you'd be with me back then? I laughed. Henry, your promises are worth nothing to me. I know I was a jerk before. But I've really changed. I've cut off all contact with Lily. I've also rearranged work, I'm free on weekends. Henry, you don't have to prove any of that to me. Do whatever you want, it has nothing to do with me anymore. I only want to be good to my son. Then follow the rules. Twice a month, by appointment in advance. That's it. I turned to leave. Clara, he called after me. Can't you forgive me? I stopped. Forgive you? I looked back at him. Henry, I've forgiven you long ago. But I don't love you anymore. Do you understand? It's not that I'm still angry, it's not that I want to get back at you, I really don't love you anymore. Just like you didn't love me back then. Go back. Live your life well. We'll each live our own, that's fine. After saying that, I turned and walked away. I went a long way before I heard him crying behind me. But I didn't look back. A year later, I took Casper to the park. He could already walk, toddling adorably. Mom. He pointed at a pigeon. Birdie. Yes, pigeons, I said with a laugh. Want one? He ran over. I hurried to catch up. Henry? Turning, Henry stood not far away. He had lost a lot of weight, his hair cut short, wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans. Clara, long time no see. Long time no see. He looked at Casper, he's gotten so big. Can I hold him? Casper. I crouched down. This is Daddy. Casper tilted his head at Henry, a little shy. No. He hid behind me. It's okay. Henry smiled, a little forced. He doesn't know me. How have you been, lately? I asked. Not bad, he said. Work's been pretty busy. That's good. Silence again. The two of us, who had once been so close, now couldn't even manage a few words. Clara, he said suddenly, do you have a new boyfriend? I was taken aback for a moment. No. But I intend to start a new life. His face changed. What do you mean? It means I'm ready to welcome someone new. Henry, I can't be alone forever. Casper needs a complete home. He has one. Henry snapped. He has me. But you're not my family. You're just his father. Henry, let me go. And let yourself go, too. We can't make this work. He stood there as if every ounce of strength had been drained from him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. I held Casper's hand. Let's go. Goodbye.